Hello, Corey here from the BachScholar YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me today. I have a very informative and exciting video for you today. In a couple minutes, you will hear Jack from Shanghai, China, play some of the Goldberg variations. Jack is a really talented amateur pianist from Shanghai, China, and he loves piano, and he especially loves Bach, and he loves the Goldberg variations. And we've been working on some of those over the last few months. Jack started working on them by himself, and then when he sought me out as a teacher, I started to assign him more of them, and now he can already play the aria or the theme, and I believe about 7 of the variations. So we're sort of just working our way through these. We probably won't get through all of them, but I believe the Goldberg variations are one of the best collections of exercises. And they are exercises by Bach. So they're exercises in the form of beautiful music compositions. So I believe that they're very beneficial for everyone to play. I don't believe that you do not need to finish the Well-Tempered Clavier or finish the Inventions and Symphonias to start on the Goldberg variations. Anyone can start. So some of the lesser difficult Goldberg variations are no more difficult than many of the preludes and fugues in the Well-Tempered Clavier. So don't think that it's an all or nothing kind of thing that, oh, if I can't play all of the Goldberg variations, then I'm not going to play any of them. So I believe that is a philosophy that you need to discard because there's no reason for that. Bach didn't really intend that. Bach really wrote the collection to be practiced as exercise, and you can jump around to various variations and use those in your study. So without any further ado, here is Jack from Shanghai, China, and I am Corey from St. Petersburg, Florida. Hello, Jack. How are you? Good. How's all your music going this week?
All Bach, all Goldberg.
That's great.
Yeah, and with some, like C minor with 3 degrees apart,
Right.
stuff like that.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
great. Okay, and you're up to about maybe 7 of the Goldberg variations or so. Is that right?
Yeah. I'm practicing the 7th that you gave me last week. That's the 18th. Okay, I can only do it very slowly.
Okay. Good. Do you like that variation?
Yeah, very much.
I
Actually, I
love
was
it.
very happy that you assigned me this one last time.
Yeah, I think it's one of the lesser difficult ones.
Okay.
So it's not easy, but it's it's not a big virtuoso variation or anything. And I think I may have told you last time this is in the style of a bourrée.
Yeah, beret. That would be happy and jumpy,
A
which I'm not able to do.
yes, the variation 18 is very clearly in the bourrée style because if you look at other bourrées, like especially the left hands, you'll find rhythmic patterns like, let me play just the left hand a little bit here, a little faster, and you'll hear typical bourrée rhythms in there. So we have. There, that's very typical. Da da dum, ba da dum, ba da dum. Bourrées are even faster than that, what I just played. So bourrées are usually da da dum, da da dum, da 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 dum, da da dum, dum dum, bum bum, ba ba bum, ba ba bum, ba 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 bum. So a typical Baroque bourrée will be kind of like that. That's why I think that most performers play this variation too slow. But when you're first learning it, you need to do it slow, but eventually it'll speed up. So you can play, and also good idea, even though it is a fast, it's a lively kind of happy sounding variation. That nice bum ba ba bum ba ba. Now, when you're practicing it slow, like at a half speed or so, it's perfectly okay to do this. I would actually go. I would actually just try to make it all legato.
So, all right, last time you said it would be okay to do legato. I took it as it would be better to do staccato.
Well, actually, it's better to do both. I don't think there's a better necessarily, but just to exercise your ability to play legato, it's good to do it legato. But if you were to do a performance of it in front of 1,000 people or something, then you had a finished, polished performance of it, it would be better to make the quarter notes staccato, and it's faster. So all pieces can be transformed into different style pieces by simply just changing the tempo and the articulation. So it's really good to practice this slow and legato, and then you could go a little faster and make the notes more staccato. That's all. So this is a great variation, and it's a duet in the right hand mostly. So you have two notes going in the right hand, and it's a bass line in the left hand. There are a few places where they overlap a little bit, where your left hand might take some of those notes, but for the most part, 90% of it is a duet in the right hand. And it's like an exercise. Bach wrote this, he wrote these as exercises. So this is like an exercise in being able to play a canon at the sixth. So each one imitates the other with one hand. And there's a few finger substitutions in there you probably notice. Like you have to switch your finger quickly on a note in order to make that note sound, so you don't have to release it so early.
Yeah.
Good. All right, that's a good start. Now let's try 19 now. By the way, 18 and 19 are a great pair. Like you could play like 18 and then 19. Perfect pair.
I get that too. So I always I play like 18 to twice or 3 times, I would play 19, and they're perfectly matched together.
I know, it's great. Okay, let's try that. Really nice job. I think you got it a little faster, I think, right?
Towards the end, you mean?
Yeah, well, I mean in general, just it seems a little faster than last time I heard it, which is a good thing. I'm not
I guess
saying it's bad. It's actually good. That's a perfect tempo for this, by the way. And I think I explained it's like kind of like a minuet.
Mm-hmm.
Although most minuets are in 3/4. This is in 3/8. So I don't know. He just wrote it in 3/8, but it's like a minuet basically. 1, 2, 3, 1. I think you could try to bring out some of the syncopations a little more. The notes like the tied notes that need a little more time, like. Yeah, so you might want to, you're doing a pretty good job with bringing out the top voice, but you could do a little more. And also, I think the 8th notes in the left hand could be a little more staccato, actually.
Yeah. Sometimes I forget. I do legato sometimes and staccato others.
I know. I think this is like a bouncy kind of variation. It's not fast, but it's moderately fast, You hear those, if you go dum dum, if you do in the alto voice, if you really kind of pronounce those, then it adds another layer there. If you can do that. Oh, no, but the bottom, like that. Yes. So it's a really nice sound there when you articulate those, and then in measure 12, you have in the alto, you have that. Then look at what happens at the end. You have that G. See the tied G?
Mm-hmm.
you want to play that G a little more, and then so you can hear it resolve to that F sharp at the end.
Yeah.
So and this is a great little variation for practicing voicing. Yes, perfect, perfect. Right. So if you can do things like that, just little details like that.
Great, thank you.
Bring staccatos out in the alto, like in measures 9 and 10, and then again in like 12 and 13, that alto below, and that's going to help. Right.
Yeah, totally.
But
yeah.
actually, when you're going slower though, it doesn't need to be quite as staccato. So the staccato will automatically be more the faster you play it. So so you don't have to over staccato when you're doing slow. But just make sure when you're playing it up to speed that you have enough staccato on those notes.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Now let's do. Let's go work backwards. Let's actually go. Let's try the aria, the theme. You want to try that?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, great.
I gotta look at the score because I changed some fingering.
Okay, that's great. Fine. Really nice, really nice. Yeah, did you change some fingerings there?
Yeah, I watched a YouTube that you made a decade ago, and
okay.
yeah, I changed the fingering of the 17th, 18th, 19th.
Oh, okay.
Good.
Oh.
Yeah, I changed the F, G, F to the left hand.
Oh, which measure?
The 19th measure.
Oh, there. That part.
Yeah. And the next trio, I used to do this.
Oh, yeah. You kind of jumped down and then jumped up?
Yeah, I jumped down. I would have to use pedals and it was all muffled. Then I realized I could do it with my left hand.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to figure out you can do it with your left hand.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can do that, things like that. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I watched your video and
Okay.
I was how did he do it so smoothly? And then I figured it out. Yeah.
It's like being a magician, doing magic with your fingers. Good. This is really good. I think it's a great tempo. I think the tempo is fine. I think it could be more even with the sound. So it sounds like some notes are kind of sticking out more than others. I mean, you do want sort of some notes that stick out more than others, but it sounds like sometimes notes that shouldn't be accented or accented. And it's hard for me to
Like
say.
what?
Well, for example, in the beginning, you have. Oh, remember I explained how the saraband usually has
Yeah,
an accented second beat?
The second note, right?
Yeah, the second beat. So traditionally, sarabands are 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So it's not, sarabands usually weren't 1, 2, 3, but they were 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. There, so you have 2, you have an accent, sort of an emphasis on that E. On that, it's a appoggiatura, actually, it's what it's called. And then when you go down to that D, you need to be really careful that D isn't overplayed. See, if you play D just a little too loud, it ruins the whole phrase. So the best musical phrase is going like in rainbows. So you have and I would. So there's two choices. You can either go strong weak, or you can go weak strong. Now both are okay. I mean, the strong weak is okay. I mean, it wouldn't be bad to put the accent on the first beat of sarabands, but I think the way it's written, most of the important harmonies are on beat 2. So it's sort of naturally just that way.
Yeah, I like it. When second beat is strong.
And then beat 3 is the weakest. So you don't want to give 3. You don't want to give beat 3 a big emphasis like that. So sort of back off on beat 3. So we have beat 1 is a kind of weak, beat 2 a little stronger, and you kind of back off on beat 3. So
the way I did it, maybe subconsciously I was treating the 2 measures, the total of 6 beats, as a rainbow.
Oh, so, yeah. Actually, well, you could. It's that way too. I mean, there's two levels. So there's a 1 measure level, and there's a 2 measure level. But it's like a puzzle. They all fit together. And if one is out of place, then it just kind of makes it funny sounding, if one is out of place. So you want to make sure that you're accenting the right notes, especially when you have appoggiaturas or those little small notes that go down to resolve down to the next note, like a half step down. Those need to be always strong and then weak. Okay. So you have like, you don't have like that. So that's in measure 8. So you have, that's strong, and then the little mordant there is sort of weak. So you don't want to do that, but you want to go. It's kind of like da, and the mordant is kind of just a little afterthought. that comes
Okay.
after it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, but I think generally speaking, really good job on this. But you know, you can always refine all those little details like that. Now let's go
Yep.
to let's try variation 1. Good, nice. Well, I want to see what tempo that was.
That was faster than you told me.
I know. It seems like it's faster. Yeah, it was around 90 something. It's probably around 90.
Yeah.
That's good.
Possibly.
That's good. I think the ideal tempo for this is 96. So if
So 90.
yeah, according to my Bach tempo theory. So you're almost there.
Whoa, that's really fast.
Well, actually, it's not. It's actually not. It's actually not a whole lot faster than what you did first. So just another couple weeks and you'll be up there probably. But anyway, just to let you know I think 96 is the ideal speed. I think Bach wanted it in 96, and because of my study of Bach's music, and also this is in the style of a corrente.
Oh.
Corrente.
Yeah, I know corrente.
Yeah, and if you compare it to, like, say, the corrente of the French Suite Number 5. You'll see a lot of similarities. Like they're both in G major, they're both in 3/4. They both have the same rhythmic characteristics. So correntes, I believe, were the ideal tempos around 96 for most of them, and so. But you know, you can play it slow. I mean, it sounds good at any tempo. A good pianist can make any tempo sound good. So it's good to practice it. It's just to make sure everything's clear and precise. Start with your slower speed and then work it up.
I always feel like there's a bottleneck for my tempo or speed, above which I wouldn't be able to control the clarity of the sound, and also especially with the crossed hands, and I wouldn't hit the right note.
I know. That's you can slow it down a little bit. But I know that it won't be long until you're up to 96.
Oh,
so
great,
but the good news is it doesn't have to be faster than 96. So if you listen to Glenn Gould's first recording,
yeah, that's crazy fast.
I can't even do that, but it's just crazy fast. It's exciting, but that's not really authentic Bach, it's like Glenn Gould, on 10 cups of coffee, that's what it is. And then and here's the thing, his second recording, from like 1980 or whatever, it's just like a little too slow. So his second recording, well, I don't know if it's that speed, but it's significantly slower than his first recording. And I think he goes to the other extreme. It's just a little too slow. So if you can just make it between those, and then the moral of the story is never copy anybody. Like, don't just listen to people and copy them. Like, listen to Glenn Gould. Oh, well, I'm going to play it like this because Glenn Gould plays it like this. See, because you have to come to your decision on how you want to do it. And but I admit, when I was like 20 something, I tried to copy everyone myself, and I know that I remember my favorite pianist when I was like, in college and majoring in music. My favorite pianist was Ivo Pogorelik, and I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's
of course, he's great.
Yeah,
he's so talented.
Yeah, I know. Well, anyway, he was at the height of his fame when I was in college, and I wanted to play everything like him. I want to play everything like Ivo Pogorelik. So I tried to copy his recordings, and which I was able to do to some extent, but not everything. So now let's do. Okay, I've rambled enough. Now let's move on. Oh, variation 7. Let's try that.
7, yeah. One more time.
This is really nice. I like your ornaments. I like this.
Thank you.
That's good.
I don't know where I picked it up, but I like it. I like it too. So I retained it.
I think Gould did that. If I remember correctly, I think that's a Gouldism.
Maybe. But I listened to a lot of recordings. Maybe somewhere else.
Well, I think that a lot of people do that there because a lot of people are influenced by Gould. So I think Gould did it first, or maybe, I don't know, it may have been Rosalind Turek. I don't know, I'm not sure. Have you ever heard Rosalind Turek?
Yeah, of course. Turek is one of the first Goldberg recordings that I listened to. I love 3 stars from the Penguin guide, and I just love Turek.
I like Rosalind Turek. She came when she was still living. She came to my school where I was a graduate student, and she played.
Oh, really?
She played the Goldberg variations live. She was getting a little older. I think she was up there in age, I think, but she played the whole Goldberg variations with the repeats. I mean, the whole thing was like 2 hours long. It was like ridiculously long, the concert, but it was great that I was there to hear Turek, the great Rosalind Turek play. Well, anyway, I bring her up because Gould was influenced by her. So Rosalind Turek came first, then Glenn Gould in his early years, he was very much influenced by Turek. And so Turek very well could have influenced Gould with his articulation, because Turek did things like that. She would do this articulation things like that with staccatos and that sort of thing. So anyway, I liked her playing in general. It's very clear, and you know. So anyway, Turek, Gould, and then everybody else copied Gould. So pretty much, whether they know it or not, most pianists tend to imitate Gould. And so if you listen to 10 pianists play this, chances are that it'll be a Gouldism because he is so influential in this piece. Like, you know, I told you last time, when you have a I mean, it sounds great. It's great. It sounds great, but that's actually invented by Glenn Gould. Bach would have done that. He wouldn't have gone down. So, but you know, that's just one of those little things. Now, but yeah, 7 is really good, by the way. Your variation 7 is a really good. I think. Can we try it with a metronome?
Yeah,
okay.
I was about to ask you about the tempo because I feel it's a little bit too slow.
Well, you know, it's in the style of a gigue. Right?
Gigue, right?
Gigue,
okay.
a French style gigue. So French gigues had the dotted notes, dun da dun dun da 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 dun bum. So French gigues had that. That's the characteristic of French gigues. Let me see. I think for you now, let's see. Actually, can you go faster? I mean, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, let me do a little faster speed for you. Let's see. So we have bum ba bum bum ba bum bum ba bum bum. So that's 63. Try that 63. Dun da dun dun da dun dun da dun. Nice. Yeah, you got it. Good job. Yeah. Do you like that speed? It's fast.
I was almost losing control.
I know.
I don't think I can handle it very well, but I can practice.
Well, with practice you can do it. I mean, you got through it, 90% of it you got. So I think that's a good speed. It was thought, because there's another style called the Siciliano. Have you ever heard of a Siciliano?
I never heard of that.
A Siciliano or a Siciliana, sometimes it's Siciliano, Siciliano. There's a famous Siciliano. Let me see if I remember it. Have you ever heard that piece? It's a famous Siciliano from one of Bach's flute sonatas, and it's often arranged for solo piano. And the beautiful melodies. So it's got these da, 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 da. It's got the same rhythm as this, but it's like about half the speed. So Sicilianos are like French gigs, but at like half speed or less. And French gigs are like fast Sicilianos. So it was thought that this was like in the style of a Siciliano. That's why in Glenn Gould's first recording of it, I don't know what he did in his second recording, but I know in his first recording, he played it pretty slow. He went, do you recall in his first recording, Gould does, if you listen to it, he does it actually pretty slow.
Okay.
And it was because he thought it was Siciliano. Well, the reason was after that, it was discovered, a manuscript was discovered that said Bach wrote in the tempo of a jig. and so it was discovered later that Bach wanted in the tempo of a jig. And Bach added, it was al tempo di giga. So Bach in one
I have this line of words right here, al tempo di giga.
Al tempo di giga. Well, that didn't, if you have older editions, you have a newer edition, but older editions like mine, this edition that I have is from like 1937. So they didn't know it then. So mine doesn't say al tempo di giga. So if I didn't know it was a jig, I might think it's maybe a Siciliano, which is like slow. So actually a lot of older pianists, like before the al tempo di giga was discovered, a lot of pianists would play this variation slowly. But actually, and Bach put that al tempo di giga probably for that reason, because he probably realized, oh, it's a little ambiguous how fast this should go, because it could be in the style of a Siciliano, which is slow. But I don't want that. I kind of want it fast, so he put al tempo di giga on there to specify that he wanted it fast rather than slow. I mean, it still sounds great slow. I mean, you can, if you just play it really slow and more legato, it turns it into a Siciliano. So it's amazing. It's really interesting and amazing how French gigs and Sicilianos have that relationship. They're almost like they're identical in style, identical in time signature, identical with their rhythms, but one is fast and one is slow. So
I think if we play this piece much slower, it leaves a lot of room for like flourishing ornaments.
Yeah, it does. You could go overboard with the ornaments on it. In fact, turn it into like one of those French Baroque pieces. The French Baroque composers like Couperin loved ornaments all over the place. So they would actually over ornament the music. So one thing that I don't think it's a good idea to over ornament Bach's music. I've heard that before. And I'm not a huge fan of that. I don't think Bach's music is good to be over ornamented. And one performer I think that over ornaments Bach too much is Schiff, Andras Schiff. It's just it sounds way too busy and complicated the way that he does, like interprets a lot of his pieces. They're just I think, in my opinion, over ornamented. Like I listened the other day to some of the Inventions and Sinfonias that he recorded, and I think, God, he just like puts trills in every other measure here, and I was thinking it just doesn't seem right, So, but I think this is the most ornamented out of all the variations here. Now, let's go to, we don't have very many left. Let's try,
We have 22 and 30.
oh, 22. Okay, let's do 22. All right. It's really
I
nice.
got B wrong again. I just realized.
Which
I mean,
one?
right here.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, I do that every time.
Yeah, that
so.
quarter note. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Very nice. A great tempo. I think that's a nice speed for this. So this imitates a choir. This imitates a choir. Soprano, alto, tenor, bass. So you have voices. So when I play this, I hear voices. Doesn't mean I'm crazy, but I hear voices. I hear human voices singing these. But that's not the case with other variations. Like this kind of, I mean, that's not a choir variation. You don't hear voices. It's like an instrumental variation that's more like a dance. Instrumental variation like a dance. Well, this is like a vocal style variation, which kind of implies more legato, which you did. And you could even use a little pedal here and there to help connect things. You know, so yeah. Ah, hear this? I'm using a little pedal there. Pedal. You hear how I'm bringing it, like slightly emphasizing those tied notes, the long notes. So you want to make sure the long notes are given a little more emphasis in all the voices. So you have, now, that's a long note. That's a long note, right there. That's a long note.
Because it's the soprano, right?
Yes. Now, if you do this trill, I forget if you did it or not. Did you leave it?
Yeah, I did it for one measure. And
okay. Actually, okay, what fingers are you using on that trill? Good.
2, 3.
You probably got that from me, right?
Yeah, you told me that.
Before, I think didn't you try to do it with 4 and 5?
Yeah, I was pretty struggling with it.
It's impossible. And never do trills with 4 and 5. You'll always fail.
Yeah.
Unless you're like a child prodigy and you learned it at 3 years old and you have like unusually well defined fourth and fifth fingers to where you can do trills. So most people can't do trills with 4 and 5. So, but 3 and 2. Actually, it's not a fast trill. So, because the tempo is only moderate, so the trill speed is only going to be moderate. So you want to make sure that you don't go. See, that would be too fast of a trill for the speed of the music. And this would be too slow. Yeah, this would be too slow for a trill. So, let me see. That would be too slow. That's about right. Or if you want to measure it exactly. If you measured it, if you did it exactly like a measured trill, you would play them like, they would be like
32s, right?
Well, actually, no, it would actually be like 16th notes, because remember, this is in cut time. So you would have 4 trill notes for every quarter note. Right?
Okay.
Right, so that would be 16th notes. Right, it would be 32nd notes if it were 4/4 time. But in cut time, you would actually have, it would be 4 16th notes for that.
Okay.
Or it would be, no, it'd be more like. Then when you do it up to speed, if you did it measured, it would sound like this. It would be like that. So the trill, if you measure it, I think it's best played measured like that. If you play it measured, and I know I didn't play it exactly measured when I demonstrated earlier, but it's a good idea to play it. If you do it measured, the tendency is to play it too fast. So so you want to make sure you measure it correctly. But this is you're coming along really well on this variation, and it sounds nice. I can hear the vocal lines the way you're doing it. Now let's try the quadlibet, or quadlibet, number 30. And this is like those 2 songs combined together. Really nice job. This is not an easy variation because of it has some weird, strange kind of fingerings in there. It's not easy to reach all the notes, and everything. You did a really good job at bringing everything out. I think in this kind of variation, since it's so dense harmonically, you have chords, almost every eighth note you have a chord. So this is a very vertical kind of chordal style variation. You know, there's no like scale passages or anything. So I think in this case, it's a good idea to hear all those exactly correctly, to practice it slowly, to make sure you have all those harmonies correct, and also that you can voice them properly. But also in this kind of variation, it's more, all the voices are more equal. So I don't think you're going to bring any one out more than others.
Yeah, that's actually one of the questions I don't feel good about my playing until you said it's a vertical piece. Because I always feel like every note I hit is like a dinosaur stomping forward, and there isn't really, you know, voicing of different layers. Feels a little bit mechanical, and when I listen to other people's recordings, I always feel like they're more, I don't know how to say it. I just don't feel like I have bring out the whole piece.
Well, it takes a while. This is not an easy variation, like I said, and it's going to take a while until it feels natural, because you haven't been playing it that long. I mean, just you know, give it another year or so, and you'll see how it will mature, you know, over that time period. So, but I think you're doing all the right things here, and just give it time, and then it will feel more natural. It's an awkward variation to play. I know.
So do you think there's a voice that I need to bring?
But pretty much, well, you want to bring those melodies out. So you have the one melody is, remember last week I told you about those two melodies?
Yeah.
So we have two folk songs, two German folk songs. It's like, it's been a while since I've seen you, or something. I forget the exact words. It's been a while since I've seen you, or something. And then the other song is cabbage and turnips have driven me away. Cabbage and turnips have driven me away. So it's about not liking to eat vegetables.
That's very common.
You know, so Bach did have a sense of humor. You know, I mean, he was a pretty dry looking guy, but he did have a sense of humor when he needed one. And this is probably the variation with the most humor in it, if you can call any of these humorous, you know. So. Sorry. I used actually a hefty dose of pedal. I used actually a lot of pedal. No, I mean, I didn't like just hold the pedal down, but I did change the pedal for chords. So you might want to try using pedal as you would in chordal music, because if you have chords, you know, if you play chords, just play normal chords like a hymn or something, they really should be all kind of put together with the pedal, right?
You mean like here?
Yeah. Yeah, I use pedal. If you don't use pedal, it kind of sounds dry, and it's hard to get all the connections right. But with pedal, here's without pedal. Here's with pedal. actually, so it's a little more resonant sounding, and you're filling in the gaps.
Okay.
You're filling in the gaps with the pedal. So, so you might want to practice it a little slower, and try to put in some pedal. And the pedal is gonna make it seem like it doesn't seem like you're a dinosaur stomping around. It's gonna seem much better and much easier that way. And it's gonna sound better. And it's gonna sound better. So really great lesson today. Really great lesson. We covered a lot.
Yeah.
And you're doing a really great job. So would you want another one or not yet?
I think I'm gonna work with 18th for one more week.
Okay, work on 18 another week, and then I can give you another one after that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. All right, great, Jack. Well, I will see you next week.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Bye, Doctor.
Okay. See you. Bye.